And now you've got an extraordinary situation where defenders of the lesbian community, as I understand it, are absolutely with you on this.
Well,
how do we make sense of this?
Well, it depends, I suppose, on how you define a lesbian, because so actual lesbians have been on our side. Lesbian Action Group intervened in the case, and they were brilliant because they want to be able to run female-only lesbian events, and because
that's called freedom of association.
Yes, and because they don't want heterosexual men claiming to be lesbians at their events, because that's a pervert. That's not a lesbian. That's a male heterosexual. That's a heterosexual man.
Can I be rude just there? Just interrupt for a moment. It goes back to an earlier point. When I was talking about the ABC, for example, always talking about man's worst behaviour. We know there are perverts.
Yeah.
We know there are.
Yeah.
It's not beyond the wit of man to know that there will be perverts who will use these newfound laws.
Of course. Oh, they are. That's exactly what's happening.
Perverted intent, and they may visit.
That's why
I know that's stating the obvious, but how much more bluntly have we got to state
Because that's
this?
all around the world. Convicted sex offenders have suddenly been claiming they were women and wanting to go into women's prisons, and many getting in there. So you've got male rapists in women's prisons, basically being rewarded. But
I interrupted. I'm sorry.
You're right. So Lesbian Action Group intervened because they don't want to be forced to have heterosexual men at their events. But then you've got both the Sex Discrimination Commission and Equality Australia, which is one of the biggest LGBTQI plus organisations in the country, very well funded, intervened as well, arguing that heterosexual men can be lesbians. So this is Equality Australia, an organisation actually going against the L in their own acronym.
Just repeat that.
Equality Australia intervened against the lesbians. They said no.
It is possible for a
for a heterosexual male to be to them that's a lesbian. If a man identifies as a lesbian, he's a lesbian. And so Equality Australia is an organisation that was set up to fight for same-sex marriage. So they very much knew what sex was 10 years ago. Obviously won same-sex marriage, and now have pivoted to keep their organisation going, have pivoted to fighting in federal court to erase sex from law completely, and completely erase any protections on the basis of sexual orientation, because they want it to be on the basis of gender identity. That's chilling, it's terrifying. So when this is claimed that it's this LGBTQ or whatever harmonious community, no, it's LGB is on the basis of sex, that's sexual orientation. The rest of it is identity, and they are in complete conflict with each other, as it's now established. They cannot deny this. They are in court, saying it's writing it down. They are against sexual orientation. It has to be gender. Now that is homophobia. So gender ideology is a movement that obviously we can go, we've said about the free speech and association and everything, but at its heart it is misogynistic and homophobic. But it is being presented to people as it's the kind one. They're the victims, they're the oppressed ones. But I've never heard a satisfactory answer of how a 50-something-year-old man, straight man, who calls himself a lesbian and wants to go into a lesbian event and can force his way in, how is he oppressed?